All right. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us. Could you introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from?
Yeah, so I'm Joseph Levno. I'm in my second year as director of the International School of Estonia. Um, Small school. Typically, the size of our school has ranged from about 120 to 150. So this year we're a little bit on the low side with 127.
All right. There is a little bit of a trend in these conversations with the enrollment drop. We've got about half of our schools that we talk to that are facing that as well. Let's talk about that a little bit in the context of finances. So, can you talk me through just your practices financially with your board, with your finance committee? What does your budgeting cycle and what do your practices kind of look like? What might you recommend?
Well, I mean, yeah, so basically, because we're nonprofit, we do take all of our income and reinvest it in the school. And our staffing costs us approximately 80% of our income. So there's actually not a lot of wiggle room. If we want to retain our teachers, there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of where we can be more efficient with our budgeting. But we are always looking to be efficient, and yet the promises that we give to our community require some spending. And so we're always really tight. Um, and and prior to me coming here, and the trend continued last year, for the last few years, there's been a deficit. We've run into a deficit, and therefore, thankfully, we have reserves that are built mostly on capital development fees that we've collected over the years that actually haven't been used to invest in the facility. But we do have a set amount each year that actually it's better for us financially to spend than to keep in reserves. And so that does actually allow us to make improvements, even if we're running a little bit of a deficit. And then, part of my job is, and this has to do with the human capital part of this, or the human resource part is basically trying to help us be as efficient as possible without overworking our teachers. So I don't know if that, I mean, I don't know if you want me to go specifically into, we have monthly finance committee meetings for the board, and we have some very strong finance people on the board, and our school accountant is also very good. And she just this past summer developed her own modeling tool for us to be able to do, 3 to 5 year projections based on different factors in terms of enrollment, the number of scholarship students that we have. And I should probably say that, because we're the school of choice for embassies. We are the most expensive school in town, and in the last 5 years, we've run into a heavy competition from schools that are funded by very deep-pocketed real estate investors who
Mm.
are happy to operate at a loss for a few years if they can take kids from us, and they have been, um, and grow their schools. And so those competitor schools that are for profit are about twice the size that we are, and there's two of them in particular. Um, and we continue to hear that we still have the most multicultural population, and that we still provide the best education, and we are we have 30 years history in town, so we have a longer history of getting kids into top universities and all of that. So we still have a lot of value, but the community is asking, why am I paying this much to get the same education they think that I can get at this other school? And so what that forced the board to do several years ago was they ended up offering a super deep discount scholarship program. And the way it was structured, it stayed with the kids as long as they were in the school. And what it did is it dropped the average tuition number greatly, which ended up making the budget so tight. And so now, since I've come in, we've said, let's not do that to ourselves. Let's not kill ourselves in terms of having such a deep discount. Let's bring our discounts to be more in line with what the other schools might be charging, instead of like being half of what the other schools were charging, which is what that program was. And so now, actually, just in the past year, because we graduated some of those kids that were on that long-term, very low cost scholarship to them, our average tuition rate has already gone up. So even though we're actually down kids this year, I think we're 12.5% down on students, but we're only 4.5% down on our budget and on our income.
That's a good stat. Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that
So I
shows some
mean,
progress.
there are some. So I mean, I guess in terms of advice, if you're asking for advice, I feel like I'm still learning on the job, but I would say that what is super important is not panicking. When numbers do drop, it is common and it's a good idea to offer a discount or a scholarship program that you can also market and basically get the word out, but don't do it where your long-term financial stability is put at risk, because that's what ended up happening before, and so that's what I'm fighting against right now. We ran a scholarship campaign last year with the idea that we would replace some of the kids that were graduating. So just to give you an idea, those families were paying 2,500 euros a year for their kids, because they were on this. It was this ISE 25, when ISE turned 25, and they said you only have to pay 2,500 euros for the life of you having your kid in school, and so that really
That is,
impacted in our. So right now our tuition rate is about 25,000 euros a year, right?
oh my gosh, that is wow.
So last year we said we're going to do an ISE 30 scholarship campaign where you will get to pay 30% of our fees, right? Not 10% of our fees. And so the kids that we brought in from that, automatically, we were getting 3 times more revenue from them than we had from the kids that left.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's the kind of thing, I think that in terms of advice, that's what I would say is like, look for ways that you can still build your enrollment for families that can afford it, but don't shoot yourself in the foot and don't panic. And marketing can pay off. It's hard to be in a position where you feel like you're already over budget, and now should I really spend this money on marketing? But it can pay off. So, it's critical to find people that understand the market, that understand education, that you can be really clear in terms of what you want them to deliver, and that they are really clear in terms of this is what we're saying you're going to see as a result.
So you have those people. Like you found really good people that understand the market. It sounds like you have a really great finance manager as well. You found some really good people for your team.
So I think we did. I still think it's a little bit new, because we're only a year into it, but we had a really good. I just this week also had a really long marketing meeting with this MediaCom agency and this marketing person who we've been working with since last year, and she actually helped us with our strategic planning as well, because what we wanted to do with our strategic planning is really get feedback from our students, from our parents, from our faculty in terms of what are our value added propositions, and they all aligned. And so that was really good, and it helps us on the board level with strategic planning, but at the same time it helps with marketing in terms of, okay, so these are the messages that we need to get out in the community. We need, they did some market research, and they discovered that we just really aren't actually well known in the town, even though we've been here for 30 years. People
Wow.
see us as this exclusive embassy school, and like they
Right.
kind of ignore us in that regard, and so we need to get the word out more.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting, right? You think that you're perceived as one thing and then you realize through that research. That's a good investment to just know how people know you or don't know
Yeah.
you.
I-
Right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have to move my computer because my battery is dying.
Okay, no
So,
problem.
sorry, I'm sorry to be moving around, but I'm not as close to the outlet as I
No,
was.
no problem. It's fine. I know that you don't have much time left with us, but I do. I just wanted to ask, did you have any other guidance around human resources, which I know you've already talked about that a little bit in relation to finances, but is there any, in terms of your staffing models, like at small schools, are you utilizing any virtual staffing, any shared
Ah,
staffing?
yeah.
Yeah, can you talk to us about those kind of more innovative. Are there any innovative approaches you might
So
recommend?
I mean, sometimes you end up, oh, am I still there? Looks like something's going on. There's a lag or something. Okay, hopefully I'm back. So basically, we have been in the position, well, a couple things. So if there's an opportunity to partner with other schools that are close to you who run the same programs, we've been a partner with one of the schools in town that's also an IBDP school. And so by being a partner, we were able to offer more course choices to our students at both schools. That worked for a little while, but unfortunately, that other school, their quality control was really bad. And then our students were experiencing, they weren't basically getting the same kind of education they were getting from our own teachers. And so then what we had to do was find a solution, and we couldn't find one in town, so we were able to hire somebody virtually. There are companies that provide these services. They are somewhat expensive, and what we ended up doing is advertising and actually using contacts and finding a retired teacher who could teach online and who had a good experience teaching online and good results. And so far, that's actually really working very well for us. It's for our IB business management, and it's very affordable. So that worked well because instead of taking the packaged deals that are actually just as expensive as hiring somebody in person, we were able to arrange a retired teacher who was an IB examiner who could step into this role, and it was through referrals that we actually found her. So that's been a positive. I would say the other thing regarding just trying to structure efficiently, it is really difficult in a small school. And people do face burnout very easily because they're doing so many different things.
Yep.
And so I think, really supporting them in that regard and honoring the feelings that they have, because I have all of the data to show how and why it's efficient to structure this way. But that doesn't address the real feelings that they have.
Such a good point.
And so it's like you have to acknowledge that and say you have real feelings and they're valid because you experienced something different in the past, and now we do need to make some changes to be more efficient. Here's what supports us going in this direction. And at the end of the day, your faculty have a choice, and they can either stay with you or not.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. All right.
You're welcome.